From the very beginning of the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, Crash Bandicoot has been one of the most talked about, if not the most talked about, third-party character to join the roster. I mean, this guy's popularity is insane. Most online cumulative wish lists tend to have a few characters that cycle in and out, but Crash is almost always a mainstay on these lists. Despite this, there are a lot of points to talk about with the inclusion of the character in Smash, making it a bit more complex than it may seem. The year was 1996, and the gaming scene was flooded with popular mascots, the most notable of which were Mario and Sonic, both icons of the platforming genre. But a new icon was about to crash his way into the platformer genre and disrupt the industry. Crash Bandicoot was originally created by Naughty Dog and was inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, Taz the Tasmanian Devil, and Looney Tunes in general. While other games at the time were going for the most modern look that they could muster, Naughty Dog took a different approach with Crash in both his cartoonish design, iconic animation style, and innovative gameplay. Now, when I say that Crash was an icon, I really mean it. And this is the first point really working in his favor. Crash Bandicoot stormed onto the PlayStation and instantly made waves in the scene. The game was difficult, fast-paced, and bursted with more personality than arguably any other game of that era. Naturally, the game was a huge commercial success, with sales numbering in the millions, and unlike most Western titles, even finding blockbuster success in Japan. Crash has had a number of games over the years, including a kart racer spin-off, and nearly every game has been met with both critical acclaim and incredible sales. Not only did Crash Bandicoot sell well and draw attention from critics, but he also totally innovated the platformer genre and game development in general at that time. The creators of Crash Bandicoot actually programmed the disc on the PlayStation to hack the system's memory and allow up to 30 times more memory and computing power than any other game at that time. In fact, the game looked so graphically demanding that an official PlayStation rep was worried that it would melt every PlayStation out there. But it wasn't only the graphics that Naughty Dog pioneered. They also developed a way to load only certain sections of the game at a time within a level to allow for even more gameplay to be stuffed into the disc. Crash Bandicoot was also the first series to introduce scaled difficulty, adjusting the number of hits and checkpoints as you die more and more on a level. All of these innovations really pushed game development forward in many different ways, even drawing praise from the creator of Mario 64, saying that he was particularly impressed with the water effects. There was so much thought and care put into this franchise that the world was instantly infatuated with Naughty Dog and Crash Bandicoot. Nintendo had Mario, Sega had Sonic, and Sony, thanks to Naughty Dog, had Crash Bandicoot. There is no denying that he's iconic, but that being said, Naughty Dog hasn't always been the owner of Crash Bandicoot, which could potentially make adding him into Smash a bit more difficult. He's been owned by Naughty Dog, Universal Interactive, Activision Blizzard, and more. The rights to his character became a point of contention within the groups attempting to make his games, so naturally one might assume that this makes Crash a bit harder to include into the game, but it does seem like the rights have really smoothed themselves out over the last few years to the point that it's no longer an issue. The rights to Crash Bandicoot sit comfortably with Activision Blizzard, so I don't see rights being a huge issue here. Not to mention that under Activision's domain, Crash has been no stranger to crossover titles. He's even appeared alongside Bowser and Donkey Kong in Skylanders. I've heard some people worry that Crash wouldn't be added to Smash due to being a Western PlayStation exclusive character, but being primarily exclusive to the PlayStation hasn't stopped other characters from being added into Smash, like Cloud Strife, Joker, and Snake. Not to mention that Crash's Western origins will likely not be an issue for a few different reasons. First off, Banjo and Kazooie were added to the game despite not having nearly as much of a presence in Japan. And secondly, Sakurai stated in the Banjo presentation that working with a Western company was surprisingly easy for him. While some people argue that Activision's acquisition of the character made the quality of his games a bit worse, there is no denying that the company really helped the globalization of the Crash Bandicoot series, especially after Activision had a merger with Blizzard, who helped the company foster relationships in China. And that actually brings up a point of contention that people want to use against Crash being included in Smash Bros. While Activision is relatively controversy-free as of late, I would be remiss not to mention their partner Blizzard, as some people worry that recent controversies from the company would work against Crash Bandicoot by association. In October of 2019, on a live stream, one of the competitors in a Hearthstone exhibition made comments surrounding the political situation that was unfolding in Hong Kong at the time. Blizzard reacted very harshly against the player, taking away his earnings, banning him from competing, and even firing the commentators who were on the stream at the time. While this decision did go in accordance with Blizzard's terms and agreements, there was a lot of public backlash, and the company very quickly backed down. Not to mention, this was all on the cusp of fans being upset with Blizzard for delivering Diablo as a mobile game, and in general, just not being perceived very well in public opinion. Shortly after this controversy, Overwatch was put on sale at launch for the Nintendo Switch, and an Overwatch event at Nintendo's New York store was cancelled. Since then, we haven't seen any games from Activision on the Switch. Now, normally this would sound like pretty damning evidence that Nintendo's trying to cut ties with Activision Blizzard, but let's break things down a bit. Let's start with Overwatch being put on sale. Now, while it is true that this is rarely done at launch, we do need to note that Nintendo does not set the prices of the games being sold on their consoles. Rather, the publishers themselves take care of this. In fact, Nintendo legally can't force them to put their games on sales or have any say in the matter. As far as the event at Nintendo New York goes, it is true that it was cancelled, but we need to note that the event wasn't cancelled by Nintendo, it was cancelled by Blizzard. This means that there likely wasn't any malice from Nintendo as a company towards Activision Blizzard. But regarding the very last point that there hasn't been any collaboration between the two companies since that point, it's important to note several things. First of all, it's only been around a year since the controversy. Not only that, but this year hasn't exactly been an easy year for companies to get their work done and meet their deadlines due to the pandemic. And it's also worth noting that Activision doesn't really do a ton of super regular events or even public interactions with other companies. The last thing that I'll say about this topic is that Activision and Blizzard have almost always operated independently as companies. In fact, it was one of the terms of their merger according to the industry news website Gamasutra. The merger was almost exclusively to increase global reach between the two companies, and so far we haven't really seen any sort of indication that the controversies of Blizzard would apply to Activision's properties. I really don't see this situation working against Crash's inclusion in any capacity whatsoever. I also want to make sure that I talk about a rumor that's been circulating about Crash 4. People have been saying it was originally considered but then dropped due to coding that was found on the Crash 4 website suggesting that the game might be coming to the Switch. There is a lot of misinformation about this going around out there, and I want to clear it up here. It takes a lot of work to code a website like the Crash 4 one by hand, and so it's standard procedure for companies to create templates for their websites that they can use to create new sites without having to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. So without overcomplicating things, looking a bit closer at the code for the Switch on their site, it didn't actually do anything. There's a chance that it's changing some info stored on their server to check to see if the game's being actively sold on the Switch, but as it's written, the code has no actual results. Looking at the website for some of their other games, it's a total crapshoot to see if they have similar coding on their page. But I will say that the Spyro trilogy is on the Switch and its website doesn't have this code. It seems like it was likely just some dead code that was left on the website as a result of a template and a function that hasn't been looked at in a long time. Between it seemingly doing nothing and not even being used on their other sites, it would seem like this wouldn't really factor into Crash's inclusion at all, especially when you consider that the Insane trilogy took a full year after its release to come to Switch. So where does this leave us with Crash for Smash? Well, to me, it seems like any sort of obstacles regarding rights, regionality, or controversy are out of the mix, leaving us with one simple fact: the fans want Crash. Ever since Smash 64, he's topped the charts for fan-requested characters, even beating out Sonic originally. Somehow this crazy Bandicoot, whose vocabulary is limited to whoa, uh-oh, and pancakes, has stolen the hearts of Smash fans. His sales and cumulative cultural impact outperform any remaining video game icons, including Crash's sister series, Spyro the Dragon. He has plenty of game concepts to pull from for a moveset, and honestly, he just seems so natural for Smash that he would probably maneuver better in Smash than he does in his own games. Sakurai has stated that Fighter Pass 2 is going to be based on fan demand and fan favorites, and if that's the case, I can hardly think of a single better pick for the DLC than Crash Bandicoot. And with the hype building up around Crash 4, this would be the perfect time to include him. Make sure to crash into the subscribe button and like if you want me to do more character deep dives like this, and let me know who my next character should be in the comments. If you want to see my thoughts on Waluigi, click the video on screen now. Big thanks to Obese Rob and Real Lemon on my Discord server for helping me out. Come talk to me at my server using the link in the description below. Stay smashing.